News with no bias.
DZRX 847 The Expose.
News with no exception.
DZRX 847 The Expose.
The latest stories from around the world. This is DZRX 847 The Expose. A taste of morality over a cup of coffee. Reporting live from the Philippines, we bring you DZRX 847 The Expose.
Good afternoon, Philippines, and good afternoon, world. I am Contessa Marie Gomez, and this is my co-host.
I'm Andre B. Eugenio, and we are here to bring you the greatest and latest stories in the shortest time.
Here are today's headlines.
For the local story, 2 men suspected of crimes released on innocence and intoxication.
For the national news, student surrenders over change of heart, resolves pending graffiti case.
For the international news, courageous woman helps 6 children escape perilous accident.
For the regional news, woman hurdles toward thief, saves life of a baby in danger.
Lastly, for another national news, illegal drugs run rampant in American school. Some students deny involvement.
Starting off the day with the local story, we have Frank Hermitanio to report 2 men suspected of crimes released on innocence and intoxication.
Thank you, Miss Contessa. There are 2 suspected men caught doing heinous in the store. One of them says, "I know what I did and was going to do, so I am aware of potential wrongdoings and their consequences." On the other hand, the second person states that he didn't know what he did that day and was unaware that he was, in fact, out of control. The police conclude that the first person acted as a human because his actions were done knowingly, voluntarily, and freely. And the second person acted as a man solely lacking knowledge, freedom, and consciousness. The second person was under the influence of alcohol and drugs, which led to an involuntary loss of consciousness, and the first person suspected did an action that was performed freely, and his reason is morally good, making it an act of will and an act of reason. With that, conscience and law are the kind of norms, with norms being the accepted standards of behavior according to social groups. Conscience is the inner voice that tells a person to do what is good and avoid evil, while law is a rule of conduct enacted by competent figures of authority for the common good, or an ordinance of reason promulgated for the welfare of all by one who has position in society. This is Frank reporting. Back to you guys.
Thanks for the update, Frank. Moving on, we have Khalid Sally on student surrenders over change of heart, resolves pending graffiti case.
Good afternoon, everyone. A story broke out yesterday about a student who sprayed as what they call graffiti on $1 million worth of property. The CCTVs were not able to capture the identity of the student since he was wearing a mask and covered his whole body. The owner of the property and the police claim they have low chances of catching the person who did it since there was no witnesses, unless the student decides to come to the police and confess. A message from the parent and the owner of the property quotes, "I'm very upset from the act of this teenager. This mansion was supposed to be a gift to my wife after she successfully got cured from a very deadly disease. And on her birthday, everything has been ruined, and my property does not look decent anymore. It's just a very upsetting act of violence." These were the words of the owner himself, explaining how hurt and devastated that someone will do such an act on a property that looks valuable. 3 days after the incident, the person guilty has stepped up and confessed to his crime. The reason he confessed is because of his true conscience, he claims. He was able to judge that what he did was wrong, and what he's doing right now is the right thing to do. During the moment he said, due to stress from schoolworks, he had erroneous conscience and wasn't able to think right. He had doubt whether he should come out and confess or keep it a secret, but his certain conscience implied certainty in his decision. After confessing, he promised he'd never do it again since he saw the damage it caused to the owner, both emotionally and mentally. The student claims he always had passion for graffiti. Now, he is feeling afraid from what punishment he may receive. He admits that what he did was a complete act of ignorance, and he will do his best to put an end to this habit. He apologized to the owner sincerely, and the owner somehow was able to find forgiveness in his heart, and he told the police he does not want to press any charges. After the owner decided not to press any charges on the student, the police didn't give the student any jail time or made him pay for the damages. Instead, they gave him community service so he can learn his lesson and never do it again. That was all for the backstory of Is It Design or Vandalism. This is Khaled Al-Sahli reporting. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for that update, Khaled. Up next, we have our anchor Contessa, bringing in courageous woman helps 6 children escape perilous accident.
Thank you, Andre. 35-year-old Latha Oni was in a school bus along with 8 students of a play school when it got stuck in the slush and fell into a pond on Katihira Road near Maradi, Kerala. As soon as Latha, who was a nanny, understood the gravity of the situation, she started pushing the children out of the bus. Latha could have perhaps chosen her own safety first and escaped from that stuck vehicle, but she chose to save the lives of the kids before anything else. When the rescue authorities took Latha to a hospital, she was sadly declared dead on arrival along with 2 children. However, we must applaud her presence of mind and courage that she has saved the lives of 6 young children. Courage is the ability to do something that one is fearful of. This suggests that courage is to speak one's mind but telling one's heart. This is the ability to rise above fear and take action based on one's ethical beliefs and professional values. The readiness to stand up and to do the right thing. The act even if it means exposure to harm or vulnerability. Courage was seen in Latha. Wow! Great! Amazing! This just showed she was selfless and made sure to prioritize others than herself. Can you do that too? Anyways, back to you, Andre.
Wonderful report, Contessa. Stay tuned for the next part. We'll be right back after this short message.
As a parent, why did decide not to let the baby undergo the surgery?
Well, if there's a little percentage of my baby would benefit from the surgery, then why not? But given her medical conditions, we are aware that it's pointless to have the surgery.
Does that mean that you don't have any hope and you just give up on your baby?
As a parents, we want the best for our baby, but we also need to accept the fact that she didn't have the privilege to live a normal life like others because of her medical condition. So why will we put our baby on the situation where she will suffer and endure the pain of the surgery, whereas she is already suffering?
Do you think that you did the right decision?
Well, we can say that we absolutely do the right thing not to let our baby have the surgery. We just want her to enjoy the present moments and enjoy it to the fullest while she can.
For the questions regarding reasons and impartiality, if you decide on something, what do you consider? Do you consider your personal reasons or you also think about the effects of your actions morally?
When we decide on something, we must identify the morally relevant aspect of the situation first. We must weigh this morally relevant aspect, giving due considerations to the views of the persons concerned, and then we enumerate all possible actions to be pursued, and then we can decide on a particular action reason to be the most ethically justified.
Do you think people will live in harmony if we practice impartiality?
Yes, there will be harmony if we acknowledge that the other person's welfare is equally important as our own.
And your favorite radio station's back. It is currently 4:40 in the afternoon.
And you're turning in. This is
DZRX 847 The Exposé.
A
Taste of morality over a cup of coffee. Back to the latest stories today, we have Sairagwan Singh to report Woman Hurdles Toward Thief. Saves life of baby in danger.
Thank you, Andre. I'm here to tell you about Sabel, a child caregiver who cares for and assists parents who are struggling to monitor care. Sabel's aunt called one day and urged her to dress up since a family in Manila was looking for a babysitter. She agreed without hesitation because it was an opportunity to earn money to her father's critical condition. A few months had passed, and she was doing an excellent job, regardless of the fact that it was only a short period of time. She established an emotional relationship and grew a genuine love for the baby, who has the beauty of the name girl. One night, as Isabel was about to cook dinner, she
There are
was
two
startled to see a
children
masked
sleeping
guy
on
holding
sofas.
Mary,
The
the
burglar
baby
is
she
right
truly
there.
cared for.
It gets
When the man
spookier.
noticed her, he pulled out a knife and warned her not to interfere. In a fit of rage, she dashed to the man and used everything she had. She seems to have no idea how, but she appears to have the strength to take the baby and push the guy. Sabel ran away with the baby while desperately shouting for help. The only thing that goes through her mind is to save the baby, even if it may cost her life. Luckily, there was a neighbor who came. Selflessness is the act or state of being selfless. Thus, it is concerned more with the needs and wishes of the others than one's own. As Sabel gets to spend with the baby she's taking care of, she established an emotional relationship and has grown a genuine love for the baby, leading her to be attached to the baby, which plays an important role in human connection. This is believed to be bond you form, people you grow fond and spend time with. The longer the time you have spent with them, the deeper attachment. Thus, this had made her selfless to save the baby despite the danger present. Again, this has been Zaira Guanzing reporting.
Thank you, Zaira. For the last report of the day, we give the stage to Paulo Flores, who will report illegal drugs run rampant in American schools. Some students deny involvement. You're up, Paulo.
Thank you, Contessa. Students were caught taking illegal drugs. One of the witnesses is a friend of the suspect who have notified the police department that his classmates are taking illegal drugs. The first suspect completely denies the accusation and lies about his actions. He is an example of Kohlberg's first level of moral development because he is only thinking of himself and his satisfaction. The second suspect is honest and admitted to the crimes he has committed, but during interrogation, the police stated that he is only honest because he has learned that it produces good results. He is an example of second level of moral development because he seeks to gain the approval of others. The friend and the witness of the suspect is an example of a third level of moral development because being honest at this level comes to a realization that an abstract principle is good for its own sake and right for its own sake. Even if it hurts you today, even if it hurts others, being honest is still the right thing to do. This is Paul Flores reporting.
And that wraps our daily radio broadcast. I'm Contessa Marie Gomez.
And I'm Andre Eugenio, and we have been your anchors for today. News with no bias.
DZRX 847 The Expose.
News with no exception.
DZRX 847 The Expose.
The latest stories from around the world. This is DZRX 847 The Expose. A taste of morality over a cup of coffee. Now, signing off.